Sleep is such a special phenomenon. It allows for our bodies to function or recover when we're sick. However, it gets a bit deeper than that when we start talking about what happens when we sleep. Our brains are still highly undiscovered. Its delicate nature leads us to making many theories about why it functions the way it does. Maybe why we have mental illnesses, why some functions differently than others, not to mention how bizarre the concept of imagination and creativity is. The truth is, scientists still don't know what the function of dreams is, or where they come from. But there are plenty of theories about dreams trying to help us analyze situations, memories, and other challenges we face in our day-to-day lives, which gets more confusing when we realize how bizarre and disturbing they can get with little to no explanation nor link to real life. This is the reason why I wanted to pursue this topic within my project. I find dreams and their symbolisms incredibly fascinating, because when it comes to the weird and bizarre in dreams, it all comes down to the undiscovered aspects of our brains, our psychology, and lifestyles, which I find to be such an interesting phenomenon that I couldn't help but research into. So please sit back, relax, and welcome to my essay about where we go when we fall asleep. Would you believe me if I told you I don't imagine things the way you do? The easiest way for me to explain is to tell you to imagine an apple. Can you picture it in your mind? Is it colored or in black and white? Is it more cartoonish or photorealistic? Or perhaps you cannot imagine an apple at all. If you can't picture it, you most likely have aphantasia, which is an inability to picture things in your mind. Nobody really knows what affects the way you picture things differently in your mind. However, scientists are still figuring out what can affect our thinking skills and imagination. Many people use their imaginations to keep their drive going. For example, imagining them winning something or getting rewarded at the end of completing a very tiring task. Some people believe that if you think about it enough, it will eventually happen. They call this phenomenon manifesting, which is also practiced in certain fantasy settings, such as in Peter Pan, when it was belief that kept fairies alive, and lack of belief almost killed Tinkerbell. Imagination is also believed to help us handle difficult situations and emotions, because it allows us to analyze and in turn understand why we feel the way we do better. Not to mention that imagination plays a huge part in practices such as yoga, as we use it to meditate. Interestingly enough, some people that can picture things well within their mind tend to gravitate towards more visual arts. Meanwhile, those that don't tend to gravitate towards less visual arts, such as music. Though I should mention that people that have chromophagia do exist, and they instead visualize colors when hearing music. And those with aphantasia could gravitate to arts that are more on the logical side instead. However, everyone is different, and just because we have these theories doesn't mean they are 100% accurate. As much as we are advancing technologically and medically, we really don't know what goes on inside someone else's mind as of yet. We only understand the hormones that certain stimuli release, though it is safe to believe that it is different depending on different people due to different factors, such as experience. Dreams were always an odd thing, so much so that people would always depict them as such. One of the first painters to do so, instead of any divine visions that were often common at the time, was Albert Dürer, which I have probably said wrong, who painted his dream back in 1525. And as you can see, it seems very surreal and nonsensical, which means that if one thing connects us to people of the past, it's the complexities of our brains. According to John Allen Upson and Robert McCarley, two psychiatrists at Harvard University, dreams are nothing but signals firing in your brain, pulling together different memories from deep within your subconscious and matches them together. But this doesn't explain why most people dream of different disturbing things, faces they don't recognize, because everyone knows that a human brain cannot make up an entirely new face, and places that we have never been in, but feel familiar. The truth is, our brains are always active. They think and observe, they make memories and analyze situations. It stores information and keeps the relevant information that may be useful, whilst forgetting what isn't. But it can't do everything at the same time. Even if for the neurodivergent folk, it does feel that way. And as such, when our bodies rest, it allows itself to analyze all of the day's agenda, so to speak. And as such, it is theorized that it creates odd and bizarre dreams as a byproduct, and things such as lifestyle, stressful situations, and overall problems you're facing can affect how nonsensical and disturbing it can get, depending on how overwhelmed you're feeling by it. On the other hand, there are also symbolisms that are so common it's hard to ignore, such as dreaming about all of your teeth falling out, or about flying or falling, which is something our brains haven't really experienced before, aside from the teeth. However, as kids we're mostly excited about it, not dreading it. which could suggest that religious and cultural beliefs also affected how our dreams form. For example, people that believe that dreams symbolize something in our lives and as such have great importance would have more odd dreams with more frequent symbolisms as opposed to people with different beliefs. Studying dreams and their symbolisms can be likened to unraveling a puzzle, where each symbol holds a key to understanding a psyche, where with careful analysis and interpretation, we can uncover hidden meanings and gain insights into our inner subconscious. Psychologists such as Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung have proposed theories to explain the significance of symbols and dreams, offering insights in different theories on why we have dreams. According to Freud, dreams are a manifestation of repressed desires and wishes, often disguised as a symbolic form. In his view, symbols in dreams serve as a compromise between the unconscious and conscious mind, allowing instinctual, forbidden, or rather taboo thoughts to be expressed indirectly. Then along came Carl Jung, who expanded upon Freud's ideas, suggesting that dreams contain symbols that tap into a more collective unconscious that is shared by all humans. Jung believed that common topics in dreams represent universal themes and motives that resonate across cultures and historical periods. By analyzing these metaphors, Jung argued individuals could gain a deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world. On the other hand, when we dig a little deeper, anthropological studies further explore the cultural significance of dreams and their symbols. Many different cultures, including my own, view dreams as a means of communication with the spiritual realm and ancestors. Those symbols and dreams are often interpreted within the context of cultural beliefs and practices. However, in recent years, advancements in neuroscience have shed light to the psychological mechanisms underlying dreaming and the processing of information in the brain. Plenty of research suggests that during REM, which is the rapid eye movement stage of sleep and also the stage associated with vivid dreaming, the brain regions involved in memory, emotion, and visual processing are highly active. This activity may contribute to the formation and interpretation of imagery in dreams. Whether we approach dreams from psychological, anthropological, or philosophical perspective, one thing remains clear. Dreams and their symbols offer a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of human consciousness and the mysteries of the mind. And it will take years before we may truly understand just how complex it really gets, and why our dreams are the way they are. Imagine this. You're in music class and everything seems okay. You're chatting to your friend and listening to the substitute teacher talking about theory of music. All of a sudden, things seem to go quiet, then dramatically increase in volume. Seeking refuge, you ask to be excused, and as you're on the way out, you collapse. That is what happened to little old me in 2016 when I was freshly 13. Ever since that day, I had been diagnosed with chronic migraines, and in my case, I experienced incredibly painful migraines that are so severe, I literally cannot function without an intervention of strong pain medication. I spent weeks in a dark and quiet room with nothing but pain keeping me company. The fascinating thing about our brains is that when they require stimulation, chances are they will make something up to satisfy that need, which in my case led to very realistic hallucinations that I strongly believe kept me sane during the worst of my episodes. I would imagine that I was far away in a field somewhere, feeling, smelling, and seeing things that I haven't exactly really felt or seen before, and it was so vivid and realistic that it's hard to believe that my brain just made it up for me. But, as with most conditions, they tend to change with time. And the days of laying in bed for weeks are long gone, and I no longer hallucinate as often as I used to. However, now I have incredibly vivid and realistic dreams in which I cannot tell what is real or a dream. Not to mention when I end up in a somewhat endless loop that leads me to dissociate fairly often or depersonalize from everyday life. This has directly inspired me to create my game and try to portray what goes on in my mind. After all, personal experience is the best experience, really. With all this in mind, I hope it clears up why I chose this topic as my inspiration. I believe replicating such a bizarre experience that almost everyone can relate to is the perfect leap into the world of game development, as most real-life roles don't really apply into dreams, and as such I can freely experiment without worrying about realism in any way, shape, or form. I also could ask for help and input from others, as dreams are such a common and broad subject could have been of help, and I love including family and friends with anything that I may be doing. It also seemed to simply be a fun project to attempt. With this research in mind, I am ready to start working on it, and as such this concludes my second essay.